Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I will be doing a video walkthrough of official Cambridge Guide to IELTS Test 1 Passage 3. I have an announcement. If this channel reaches 100 subscribers, I will launch a free IELTS reading question types course. So consider subscribing to my channel, liking the video, and commenting below. So let's begin. The name of the passage is photography art? So in my opinion, this passage is gonna be about art, like photography, whether it is considered art or not, and how its impact on artists. So now let's go to questions and highlight keywords. What is the writer's main point in the first paragraph? So I'm gonna write here 27 because after reading this paragraph, I will uh, immediately go to question number 27. What public view about artist was shared by the French and the English? What did the writer mean in line 59 by the handwriting on the wall? So I'm gonna go to line 59. Here's it, and I'm gonna write 29 here. What were the results of the widespread availability of photographs to the middle classes? Here we have summary completion with choices. In the early days of photography, opinions on its future. When they talk about future, I'm gonna immediately go to these questions, these summary completion questions with choices, where we need to have an adjective here, but three clear views emerged. And the other unchangeable keyword is three. Whenever I see three in the passage, I'm immediately gonna go to this question. A large number of artists and ordinary people saw photographs as to paintings because of the way they were produced. Another popular view was that photographs could have a role to play in the art world, despite the photographer being. So here we need an adjective describing a person, specifically a photographer. Finally, a smaller number of people suspected that the impact of photography on art and society could be, here we need an adjective, which has to describe the impact. And the last question type is matching names. Here we have 5 researchers. Whenever I see any of these, I will immediately, after reading what they mentioned, I'm gonna go to these questions. So let's start reading the passage. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. This may seem a pointless question today. Which question? Uh, is photography art? This is the question, and this may seem a pointless question today, right? Surrounded as we are by thousands of photographs, most of us take for granted that uh, okay, so that in addition to supplying information and seducing customers, camera images also serve as decoration, afford spiritual enrichment, and provide significant insights. It's not something that is accepted, right? Like most of us take it for granted, right? Uh, provide significant insights into the passing scene. But in the decades following the discovery of photography, this question reflects the search for ways to fit the mechanical medium into the traditional themes of artistic expression. So now we've read this paragraph, and the main point here was not to list all of these like uses. It was mainly to say that it's a pointless question, and this is something that we most of us take it for granted, right? This is not something that is accepted on a large scale. So let's go to question the answer choices. Photography is used for many different purposes. This is not the main point. Although this paragraph there is information that it is used for many different purposes, it's not the main point. The main point is that it's not accepted at a global scale. Most of it take it for granted. Photographers and artists have the same principal aims. Nothing about the aims in this paragraph. Photography has not always been a readily accepted art form. Yes, this is true. Photographers today are more creative than those of the past. There is no comparison of photographers today and photographers in the past, and whether they are more creative or not. There is nothing about photographers. Okay, we haven't talked about the future. We haven't yet read these names. So let's continue reading the passage. The much publicized pronouncements by painter Paul Delaroche. Let's have a look whether we have him here. No, we don't have the name of this researcher. Painter. It's his painter. He or she is painter. That's this thing. Here we have a star. If you have a star, that means this is something that is a hard vocabulary, and the meaning of it is written in the end of the passage. So that means the name given to the first commercially successful photographic images. So now we've understood the meaning of it, because it is a technical word and many people don't know this word. This is how it is. Okay. Signals the end of painting is perplexing, because this clever artist also forecast the usefulness of the medium for a graphic artist in a letter written in 1839. Nevertheless, it's symptomatic of the swing between the outright rejection and qualified acceptance of the medium that was fairly typical of the artistic establishment. Discussion of the role of photography in art was especially spirited in France, where the internal policies of the time had created a large pool of artists. But it was also taken up by important voices in England. So here we have the French and the English. In both countries, in both France and England, public interest in this topic was a reflection of the belief that natural stature, and achievements in the arts were related. So, like success, like achievements, like can increase the profile of a nation, right? Those achievements can improve national, like the country's uh, artistic values, maybe, or something. So this is something like the public view, right? That was shared by the French and the English. Now let's read the choices. That only artists could reflect a culture's true values. Nothing about true values and whether they are reflected only by artists or not. So the answer is not A. We can easily eliminate it. And one tip for multiple choice questions, you can actually find the answer by eliminating incorrect answer choices. Yeah, that's only artists were qualified to judge photography, nothing about judgment of them, right? So the answer is not B. That artists could lose work as a result of photography, nothing about the loss of the work of photographers, right? So this C is not the correct answer choice. That artistic success raises a country's international profile. Yes, like success is synonym for achievement, country's national, international profile stature. So yeah, let's continue read. Do we have any of the researches? No, right? Okay, let's continue reading the passage. From the maze of conflicting statements and heated articles on the subject, three main positions about the potential of camera art emerged. Like, if you remember, in summary completion questions we had like three, right? Three clear views, three main positions. Because three was unchangeable keyword, it was so easy for me to locate it. In the early days of photography, opinions on its future were conflicting. Yeah, conflicting. Uh, Not inventive, not beneficial, mixed. Yeah, not justified, not inferior. Okay, so the answer is E because opinions of the photography were mixed. So the answer is E for question number 31. And as you can see, conflicting statements and heated articles. Uh, the simplest entertained by many painters and a section of the public was that photographers should not be considered art. Because they were made with a mechanical device and by physical and chemical phenomena instead of human hand and spirit. To some, camera images seem to have more in common with fabric produced by machinery in a mill than with handmade creations fired by inspiration. A large number of artists and ordinary people saw photographs as mm, like low status, right? As low status, and like you don't usually see the exact synonym to the answer because in summary completion questions, especially in these types of questions, the context is gonna give you the answer. And the main uh, point of this sentence was to say that photographs are in a low status and real art is something that is superior. Inferior means low status, having a lower status than the counter. So the answer for question number 32 is inferior because of this sentence. And the answer is G. G. Okay. So do we have anything about this? Do we have any researches? No, right? Okay, let's continue. To some camera, we heard that. The second widely held view shared by painters, some photographers, and some critics was that photographs would be useful to art but should not be considered equal in creativeness to drawing and painting. So there's also another view that is shared by painters, and that view says that uh, photographs would be useful to art, but they should not be considered as equal as creativeness, right? That means that photographs are not created um, with creativeness, right? So they're not made by by creative photographs. This is not the creativeness is not a skill required for photographers. Another popular view is a second widely held view. Photographs could have a role in to play in the art world. Would be useful to art is this, despite the photographer being less, I mean, creative, right? So I'm gonna search uh, the exact synonym for creative for question number 33. Inventive, yeah, this is kind of a synonym for creative. Do we have any better synonyms? No, right? So the answer for question number 33 is A. Okay, so let's continue reading. Lastly, by assuming that the process was comparable to other techniques such as etching and lithography, a fair number of individuals realized that camera images were or could be as significant as handmade works of art, and that they might have a positive influence on the arts and on culture in general. So, a fair number of people believe it that like a fair number of individuals means a smaller number of people, the impact of it, like actually camera images can be significant, right? They can have a positive impact. So now they're talking like basically in a positive way, and they can have a positive influence both on the arts and on the culture, arts and society. So here for question number 34, I need something that is positive. Similar, beneficial. Yeah, beneficial is a positive word. So the answer for question number 34 is C. So we have done all of these summary completion with choices questions. So let's continue reading. Artists reacted to photography in various ways. Many portrait painters um, who realized that photography represented the handwriting on the wall became involved with daguerreotyping or paper photography in an effort to save their careers. Some incorporated with painting. So the writer mentioned like the handwriting on the wall. Why did he or she mention it? It was because uh, sh- uh, the writer is talking about some bad things that you typing, and yeah, let's go to choices. An example of a poor talent. Nothing about handwriting on the wall like being photography being poor talent. So the answer is not A. A message that cannot be trusted. Nothing about whether it can be trusted or not. An advertisement. Nothing about an advertisement. A signal that something bad will happen. Yeah, this is like the best choice. So, as I mentioned before, you can actually find the correct answer by eliminating incorrect answer choices. This is a perfect example where you can use this. By eliminating three other these answer choices, you can find the correct answer D. Okay, so let's continue. Still other painters, the most prominent among them, the French painter Jean Auguste Domecq Ingus. I guess he is the researcher here. Yeah. Yeah. began almost immediately to use photography to make a record of their own input and also to provide themselves with source material for poses and backgrounds, vigorously denying at the same time its influence on their vision or its claims as arts. So, first, it's saying that he or she uses photography to make a record of their own output and also to provide themselves with source material for poses and backgrounds. Okay, so let's read these. He claimed that photography would make painting more realistic. Nothing about being realistic or not. He highlighted the limitations and deceptions of the camera. Nothing about that. Nothing about limitations. He documented he documented his production of artwork by photographing his works. Yeah, record of means documented. His production, his like own output means uh, own like production. So the answer for question number 37 is A. He noted the potential for photography to enrich uh, artistic talent. Nothing about enriching artistic talent. He based some of the scenes in his paintings on photographs. Yeah, like poses and backgrounds is a scene, right? So he bases some of them. He he uses photography to provide themselves with source material for poses and backgrounds. These are scenes, and he based some of them in his paintings on photographs. So the answer for question number 39 is also A. He felt photography was part of the trend towards greater mechanization. Nothing about mechanization, right? So now, let's continue reading the passage. The view that photographs might be worthwhile to artists was enunciated in considerable detail by Layton and Francis Way. Here we have Francis Way, right? Francis Way. The latter. Like the latter means the second person. For example, Lassen is former, former, and Francis Way is a latter, latter. The latter, an art and literary critic who eventually recognized that camera images could be inspired as well as infor- informative, suggested they would lead to greater naturalness in the graphic depiction of anatomy, clothing, likeness, expression, and landscape. So what he said was, these photographs will cause to much greater naturalness, right? Greater naturalness. So now let's go to questions. Would make yeah, more means greater, realistic means naturalness, right? So the answer for question number B, for question number 35 is B. He highlighted the limitations, nothing about limitations, nothing about enriching artistic talent, nothing about greater mechanization. So let's go to like the last multiple choice question. What was it about? Middle class, nothing about that yet. So let's continue. By studying photographs, true artists, he claimed, would be relieved of manual tasks and become free to devote themselves to the more important spiritual aspects of their work. way uh, left unstated what the incompetent artist might do as an alternative, but according to the influential French critic and poet Charles Baudelaire, I guess we also have this researcher. Yeah, we have it. We have it. Him writing in response to an exhibition of photography in 1859. Lazy and untalented painters would become photographers. So he is saying that lazy and untalented painters would become photographers, fired by a belief in art as an imaginative embodiment of cultivated ideas and dreams. Baudelaire regarded photography as a very humble servant of art and science. So, he regarded photography as a very humble servant of art and science, a medium largely unable to transcend external reality. For this critic, photography was linked with the greater industrial madness of the time, which, in his eyes, exercises disastrous consequences on the spiritual qualities of life and art. So it was like he regarded photography as a humble servant of art and science, right? And he's also talking about like, photography was linked with the greater industrial madness. Nothing about limitations, nothing about enriching artistic talent. But he's talking about having greater mechanization, right? Servant of art and science, greater industrial madness. So the answer for question number 40 is C. If something better comes, I will choose the other. So always have an open mindset to change your answer. So let's continue. Iggy Delacroix was the most prominent of the French artists who welcomed photography as helpmate, but recognized its limitations. Regretting that such a wonderful invention had arrived so late in his lifetime, he still took lessons in daguerreotyping and both commissioned and collected photographs. Delacroix's enthusiasm for the medium can be sensed in a journey entry noting if photographs were used as they should be, an artist might raise himself to heights that we don't yet know. So, has he highlighted yet? He said that he recognized its limitations, but he did he highlight it yet? No, right? So let's continue. The question of whether the photograph was a document or art arousal interest in England. Also, the most important statement on this matter was an unsigned article that concluded that while photography had a role to play, it should not be constrained into competition with art. Uh, a more stringent viewpoint led critic Philip Gilbert Hammerden, here we have him, to dismiss camera images as narrow in range, emphatic in assertion, telling one truth for 10 falsehoods. So what this critic said was the limitations, right? So the answer for question number 36 is E. We are left with one. Okay, so let's continue reading. These writers reflected the opposition of a section of the cultural elite in England and France to the cheapening of art which the growing acceptance and purchase of camera pictures by the middle class represented. So here we have middle class. Technology made photographic images a common sight in the shop windows of Regent Street and Piccadilly in London and the commercially boulevards of Paris. In London, for example, there were at the time some 130 commercial establishments where portraits, landscape, and photographic reproductions of works of art could be bought. This appeal to the middle class convinced the elite that photographs would foster a desire for realism instead of idealism. Even though some critics recognize that the work of individual photographers might display an appealing style and substance that was consistent with the defining characteristics of art. So, this appeal to the middle class convinced the elite that photographs would foster a desire for realism instead of idealism. Okay. The most educated worried about its impact on public taste. Maybe it helped artists appreciate the merits of photography, nothing about appreciating its merits. Improvements were made in photographic methods, nothing about improvements in the photographic methods. It led to a reduction in the price, nothing about its price. So the answer is A. Okay, so oh, uh, he noted the potential for photography to enrich artistic talent. Mm, which research said that? I am searching for this. Yeah, like here, raise himself to heights that we do not yet know, right? So that means enriching artistic talent. And this Delacroix recognized its limitations, and but he said that it's such a wonderful invention that like that could be arrived so late, that was arrived so late in his lifetime, right? So he really was surprised by photography, and but he also said that there is some potential to enrich that um, artistic talent. So the answer for question number 38 is D. We've done all of these questions. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you found the video helpful, subscribe to my channel, like the video, and comment below.